is ELISA, the lab technique, which basically it stands for enzyme-linked immunosorbent assay. And the purpose of the ELISA, it's usually used to like measure antibodies or proteins in blood or other substances in a lab. So it'll test like presence concentration of an antigen or an antibody in a sample. And it uses this like fluorescent color to kind of record the reaction between an enzyme and a substrate. So yeah, a spectrophotometer is used for color absorbance. So measuring the amount of absorbance of the color can show how much of the quantity is, or how much of the quantity is present. And then these are just enzyme labels that are usually used. So horseradish perioxidase and alkaline phosphatase. And then this would be the substrate. So there are several types of ELISAs, but like the general procedure is going to be basically this like coating of the microplate wells. So you have about, pretty sure it's around 96 wells. I may be wrong there though. But you basically directly or indirectly immobilize the antigens on the wells and then use plate blocking. So you add another protein or some other molecule. It covers the unsaturated surface sites of the wells. Just to cover that. And then you use detection with the antigen-specific antibodies. So basically they can bind to the antigen to represent the quantity. And then you would measure the signal based on a like fluorescent tag on the antibody. And then this is just the difference between a direct and indirect ELISA. So direct will test for presence of an antigen in a sample. And there's some like advantages and disadvantages to both. Then the indirect will test for the antibody in a sample. So with an indirect, one of the advantages is that there are going to be more like labeled antibodies. So because you're having more of that signal being detected, it's basically it amplifies the signal and it has increased assay sensitivity, meaning that if there's low quantities of the antibody in a sample, it can be able to sense it better. And this is another type, which is the sandwich ELISA. Basically, you're taking a plate, you're coating with the antibody, you have the antigen that's specific to that antibody, and then a secondary antibody like the other ones. And then you add the substrate, and they'll again be the fluorescence product by the enzyme. So that's pretty much it for the presentation.